Now for the bottom of the deck, we got the Queen of Cups in the reversed position. So with our Queen here in the reversed position, she's constantly worrying. And she's worrying about things that she really doesn't have any control over. And so this can actually indicate like an overworked imagination. You know, fear can do that too, where we can take something small and then we literally go to the worst case scenario in our head, and you know, we can just really be overworked, you know, and our imagination can make things worse for us emotionally, because overall we are out of balance, you know, emotionally. We need to bring balance back so that, you know, our logic and our emotion are equal. And sometimes there can be a tendency to exaggerate, you know, maybe the problems you're going through, or just in general the conditions. You know, this can also indicate like emotional outbursts. I mean, we're just out of balance emotionally, and that's essentially what it's what it's saying to me. And it's because, you know, there is some sort of conflict, there is some sort of emotional turbulence that is taking place. So it's adding to it, but see, we can add more to it as well by having an overactive imagination or exaggerating things. So we definitely want to be careful of that. You know, you just really need to not react, you know, because some things may arise, you know, and you don't want to just automatically react, because you'll react in an emotional way, and that's not always the best way. So it's just best to, you know, just take a step back and try to look at things objectively. And you really want to harness your emotions here. We need to get a hold of our emotions and rein them in, you know, take control back. You know, for a few of you, this can indicate that you may be experiencing self-deception. So do not lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. You know, and that overworked imagination that can feed into self-deception. So if you see that you're doing that, you definitely want to pull yourself out of that. Don't allow yourself to sink, you know, that low. Because we do have free will. If we just simply decide, look, I'm not going to automatically react in an emotional way to an emotional situation, I'm just going to go within, and I'm going to find the answer within. And then I'll respond after I have some time to cool off and find my answer within. By simply just changing that, you can change your entire destiny. One little thing, you know, our mind is so very powerful. People tend to underestimate how powerful our brains are. And we're very suggestive, you know, so if we're always thinking about the negative side of things, you know, and the worst case scenarios, you know, then that can really end up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, you know, don't be afraid to call yourself out on it and say, hey, no, I'm not going to do that. So just, you know, simply changing your thoughts, try to focus on the good. Just like I said up here, focus on what we do have. Don't be pessimistic. Don't be negative minded. Focus on what you do have that's good in your life and be thankful for it. But also focus on that, especially, you know, if you're going through a tough time. Try to push your focus towards the good, towards the positive, because if we can, you know, just be positive, then we will actually attract more positive situations to us by choosing to be positive, by choosing to look at the positive rather than wallowing in the negative. Sorry, I may be ranting, you know. But I just want everybody to know just how powerful our mind is, because it's super powerful. And just by simply changing the way we think, we can change our entire life. That's a gift. Okay. So, we have our Two of Swords. We have a decision to make. We may be at a point of indecision, so we're trying to figure out what we want to do. And then we clarify, and we have the Three of Wands in the reversed position. So some of you could have potentially started, this could have been a creative type endeavor. This could have been a job. Some of you could have started a business. But the overall focus is you started something. And when you did so, there may have been a lack of foresight. Maybe you weren't accounting for, all the different possibilities, all the different things that could arise, the unexpected type of issues. Sometimes we didn't pay attention to every single detail because we were just excited to get something going. But now we're experiencing many difficulties in something that we have recently started doing. And sometimes, these can just be delays. And sometimes we can just simply pull back and, take a look at our plan and what we were doing, and, basically going over the fine details and seeing what's wrong. And so sometimes, just tweaking something can completely fix this situation and get it back to the upright so that we have resources coming in. When it's in the reverse, the resources are not what we need. They're inadequate. So there's not enough. We're not seeing enough of a profit, essentially. So we definitely need to reevaluate our plan, or, whatever you started, whether it be a job, or maybe some of you started a business. Maybe some of you just simply started, a creative type of project. And now you have a decision to make regarding it. Oh, excuse me. That's my phone. Okay, but, for some of you, you may be able to save this project by simply, changing something, tweaking something. And some of you may need to start over entirely. But, you have a choice to make. And you got to make the choice that's best for you. Only you know what's best for you. So, here's our advice card for this situation. We have the Two of Wands. So the Two of Wands is definitely saying, hey, you got an opportunity. You basically manifested something into your life. Now go after it. But see, this has to be your choice. And you have to be willing to either, completely reevaluate your plans and modify them. Or you may have to be willing to start over entirely. But this is your choice. But the Two of Wands is saying you have an opportunity. It's here. Don't waste it. But you need to do what's right for you. For some of you, you may feel it's best to scrap it and start something else. For some of you, you may be very attached to what you started here, and you don't want to walk away from it. You would rather, just make the necessary changes and then move forward. And something else I should mention is sometimes, especially for those of you that may have a business, may have recently started a business, some of you could have been involved in a partnership. And if this is the case for you, then the partner is not doing what they basically said they would do. They're not providing what they said they would provide because, clearly the resources are inadequate. So there is a lack of resources. Maybe they were going to supply you with more money and they have it. So you have a choice to make. So maybe you can work on finding someone else to be a partner with. Or maybe you just may decide to go solo. It's completely up to you. Just make the choice that's best for you. Okay, we had our Eight of Wands, which was our circumstances card, and this shows that we were working towards achieving a goal or a dream that we had, and we've encountered some obstacles that are very frustrating. They can cause us to be pretty angry because things are just not working out. And we really need to step back and look at things objectively instead of trying to force the things to happen that we're after. So we clarify, and we have the Five of Cups. So this is definitely indicating that, there is a loss and a disappointment attached to a goal or a dream here. So you guys are definitely feeling down in the dumps about not getting what you've been going after. You were trying to achieve a goal or a dream that you've had, and you've experienced a loss and or disappointment. And as I was saying earlier, sometimes this can indicate, conflicts and jealousy, especially in situations where, it's about love. And Five of Cups, this can be a loss or disappointment in love as well. But, you're going through it, see, he's focused on these 3 spilled cups, but there's 2 cups behind him that are still full of wine. So, again, you don't want to focus on what you're lacking. You need to turn around and look at the 2 cups that you still have. So, essentially, what I'm saying here is there will be more chances, okay? You're going through a loss, but it's not going to last forever. Healing is going to come, and your hope will be renewed. Oh, I apologize. Oh. Okay, and advice. We have the Sun in the reverse position, so that would definitely indicate that you may be, I'm getting tongue-tied. I apologize. You may be pretty pessimistic. You may be looking at things in a pessimistic way, focusing on the negatives, when really we need to be optimistic. We need to try to change our frame of mind. Sure, this may not be working out, but that doesn't mean that we can't, modify our plans. That doesn't mean we can't reroute. That doesn't mean we can't start something new, something that might be much better for us. We want to have optimism. We want to have that passion and optimism that really keeps pushing us forward. But the Sun in reverse is also about experiencing delays, and it's also about coming to a crossroads. And a lot of times this can be a crossroads within a marriage, or like a long-term relationship, where you're just at a crossroads, like, should I even put any more energy into this relationship? Should I continue? So a lot of times there will be a breaking off, a severing of ties. Not necessarily for everyone, but for most, this could indicate a severing of ties with someone that you loved. But for those of you that are not in a relationship and not focused on a relationship, then the Sun is basically pointing out that you're looking at the obstacles and the delays, and that's what you're focusing on, and we don't want to do that. That's being negative. See, with the Sun in reverse, we're lacking confidence, and the Sun is saying, no, you need to be confident. You need to be confident. Be confident and be optimistic. Look for the positive. Look for the positives. Okay, here we had our focus card, which was the Four of Wands. And to clarify, we get the World. This is beautiful. So the World is about, hey, you've been through a lot of lessons. you've been through some really tough times, and you've learned your lessons, and now the universe is saying, hey, you're being rewarded. So this is karmic rewards for a job well done for completing a lot of lessons, you know. Oh, the universe has not been so kind here lately to Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. You know, not all of us anyhow. But hey, this is definitely showing achieving, you know, something that we want. Whatever you want, we can truly have. Maybe you guys are really wanting family happiness. Well, it is within reach. If that is what you truly want, it can be yours. Maybe some of you are focused on wanting to buy a house. That can be yours. It is within reach. Let's just remain positive and optimistic and confident. Yes, we got 2 advice cards here. Okay. So, Ace of Cups in the reverse. That's a rushing out of emotions. So, we could say an emotional outburst. So, again, it's best to not have an emotional outburst. It does happen. It happens to all of us. We're all guilty of it. But try to not focus on an empty glass, okay? Because you yourself can fill that glass again. A lot of times this can indicate that, you know, perhaps maybe we're not open to love. Maybe we've been hurt. And we're not sure we want to even take another chance. So essentially with the Ace of Cups, we don't need to be focusing on the lack of love in our life that we may be feeling right now, or the hurt from a relationship that we've been through. We don't want to keep focusing on all those negative things because it just breeds more negative things to come our way. So don't focus on what you lack. You want it to focus on the things that you want. You need to look at the things as, okay, I want this, so you need to more or less say, I have this. You want love? I do have love. I have a great man. I have a great woman, you know, that loves me. Whatever it is for you. Now, Strength in reverse is basically, this is where we're letting our fear get an upper hand on us. We're allowing fear to control our thoughts and even our actions. Because sometimes we'll be trying to get a point across to someone, and when strength is in the reverse position, we may end up coming across too strong. I mean, we may just physically try to force our opinion down their throat, and you don't want to do that either. That's not good. So the overall advice here is harness your emotions and get rid of the fear. Because karmic rewards, they're here. They're coming, okay? But you can't focus on the lack thereof, and you can't focus on the past, which is a very Cancerian type of thing. We are very, you know, rooted to our past. But we need to focus on the future, and let's focus on good things happening to us as opposed to looking back at all the bad things. You know, let all of the things that, you know, you've been hurt by, use those and let that become your power to succeed in whatever part of life you want. Just don't let fear get the upper hand on you, because we can really have it all. Okay, this was a near future card. We had the 8 of Coins. So to clarify, oh, that's beautiful. Clarify, we get 10 of Pentacles. So some of you are steadily working on your skills because you are focusing on the wealth of your family. A lot of you are focused on making some wealth for yourself. And some of you could actually be offered a job at a large corporation, possibly. And if it's not a large corporation, you know, or large business, it would be something that would be very solid, something very structured. it would be a company that you could definitely depend on to still be there. So a good job opportunity could be coming your way. This can also indicate that, we may get a windfall of money. Perhaps you receive a gift of money. Perhaps some of you may have an inheritance come through, maybe even an unexpected one, and it would be tied to your family. Maybe some of you may get, a loan of money that you need from someone in your family to help get you through until you can get this job. But overall, this is very, very positive. With the Ten of Pentacles, it shows that we are working towards achieving wealth. So this is fantastic. Okay. So, advice cards. We've got Seven of Wands in the reverse position. The Seven of Wands is about competition. And this is actually much better when it's in the reverse position. So basically, you may be in competition for a job with your particular skill set. And maybe someone may have even, even tried to threaten you. I mean, that would be worst case scenario, but they're all bark, no bite. So don't worry. A lot of people like to talk crap, but they like to just talk, but really they can't they can't cash that check. So don't worry about it, because the competition is not near as stiff as someone may want you to think it is. Okay, so really you may be competing against someone, but really it's no contest. You're gonna win hands down, so don't worry about it. So just be positive, because things are gonna work out to you. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. I mean, I'm literally ready to get up and jump up and down. I mean, it is about time that we get a blessing. Woo! Okay, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, for our next card, we got the Three of Wands. So, we did have this up here. And this is like the present moment here, right here. And this is our near future. So for near future, our advice is be on the lookout for more opportunities, because they're coming your way. And these opportunities will bring you extra resources, extra money. So things are looking great for the near future.